Well, the temperature's better, so let's test it out and see if it starts. That's cool. It's a good sign. Hadn't fired it up in a bit, so I was curious as to how that was going to go. Apparently my measures of isolating the battery paid off. This is all a bit chaotic because I was making changes and doing things. But it's all getting ready to come out of here. Remove Johnny 5. I had put this sundown amp in here to test it. Worked out fine. Let's see here. And it may end up going in my build in the future, just to see if I can see what kind of power we can make. I don't know what kind of power. Yeah, well, what kind of power it'll make, but also testing to see what kind of SPL we can make with a little 1500 watt amp. So that's a thing. It's we've kind of the industry has kind of shifted from what it was back in the day. You see, years ago, power was difficult to work with because we're limited to a 12-volt system, and we just didn't have the ability to really crank out the power. So everything was made to be more efficient. All the subwoofers were made to be more efficient. And the speakers were made to be more efficient. Amplifiers were made to be more efficient. All of those efficiencies worked, right? So as power got to be more available, amplifiers got to be more capable, all charging systems improved, battery storage improved, all those things. We weren't as hindered by that, and so we were able to put more power to the subwoofers, and so subwoofers were re-engineered to handle more power, and then people bought those because they handled more power. And so since people like stuff that handles more power, we started building more power and more power and stuff that handles even more power and more power. Amplifiers that make more power and subwoofers that handle more power and batteries, and it just keeps growing, right? You guys get what I'm saying? But the question is, how much of the SPL that we're capable of getting these days comes from power, and how much of it comes from good design? Good box design, good subwoofer design, you know, getting your layout and your build right, you know, all those things. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. And I'm wanting to find out what we can do with less power and just good design. And I can also switch out different amplifiers and see how much this changes things, you know. Should make for some interesting stuff. Getting ready to run these in. There's going to be some high-speed footage going on because there's going to be a lot of this. And this is coming out. And by the way, when I do this, when I redo this, my mids and highs amps are going to be located up front somewhere. They're not going to be on display back here. Only the subwoofer amp is going to be on display somewhere. The reason is I'm going to have 3 separate systems. I want to have my stereo. I want to have everything on a switch. So when you turn the ignition on, that's not going to do nothing but start the vehicle. I'm going to have a switch for the head unit and the 4-channel amplifier, which would be this one. I'm going to have a switch for the subwoofer amp that powers the little sub amp that powers the front sub, and I'm going to have another switch for the big amp that powers the big subs, and then I'm going to have a switch for this charging system back here. Therefore, I can turn everything on and off as I want to, and I think this will work out pretty good. So this is all coming out. Everything's coming out. Good times all around. Now, technically, as long as this breaker's tripped, there's no battery connected back there since I took that one out. But I'm still going to pull these fuses even though all they connect to is the alternator. Just for good measure. You never, when you're messing with a lot of amperage, you can never be too careful, because you can do some really bad damage to things very quickly from one little mistake. That's why I use these little stubby wrenches, and I keep the end of the wrench in my hand whenever I'm working on stuff, because all it takes is one little grounding and you throw sparks everywhere. So we're just gonna loosen these 2 back ones up, take the front ones off, and we'll be able to disconnect these fuses and pull them out of here. And then everything on the other side of these fuses will be ice cold. And we won't have to worry about any mishaps back there. The thing is, if I didn't do this, there's always a possibility that in the future, whenever I'm wiring things back up, that I might have forgotten that I didn't take these out, and then, you know, you run into problems. By doing this now, even when it's not necessary, the only problem I'll run into is maybe forgetting to put the fuses back in, in which case I'll eventually figure that out, but it won't cause any destruction in the meantime. Put my hardware back on, and then we'll be jamming, baby.
Alright, we're down to the internal. You can see the expanded foam. The crack filling happened quite a bit. All the way around. That leak out of there. Expand the foam, baby. So, here's the thing. You see those boards on the edge right there? Well, those are glued to the box. But that panel screwed into it is just screwed in. Same way with the panel that seals it to the top, and this panel over here, that wing. It's screwed to those sideboards, because the sideboards are glued together. So I didn't glue the wings on, which means I'll be able to disassemble this. That was always my intention, was to keep it in such a way that it could be taken apart without using an axe. There's no adhesive holding it in place, just expanded foam, which in itself is a bit of an adhesive, but not that strong of a one. So, and I tried not to get too much on the headliner. Of course, I ended up doing a lot, but you know, I wanted to see if I can pull it back out fairly clean. But all this is coming out anyway. I just wanted to show you guys what it looked like before we started the tear out.
Old truck chilling in the driveway like an old friend who's got my back. Grab the keys from the kitchen wallet and smokes and head out back. Seats smell like old leather and a little like aftershave. Turn the key and hit the gas, yeah man, it's gonna be a hell of a day. Gravel crunching under big old tires as I pull out on the road. Engine making that roaring sound and I crank up the stereo. Bass comes in so sweet and low, I can feel it in my bones. I got nowhere to go, but this highway feels like home. The music makes me high. The bass drops deep inside. I feel like I can fly in my big old redneck ride. Feel the power as I hit the gas. I can feel that engine roar. Sunlight.
It's inevitable. Someone's going to ask about these subs. This is what they are. The Depmonts SA302 D2s. And had them wired to 4 ohms in series. So 4, 2, 1. And see there are 2 ohm coils. They're rated at 4,000 watts. 2,000 watts RMS. These are the Apocalypse subs. These things are absolutely ginormous for 12s. You see how big the magnet is on this? Remember, this is a 12-inch sub. That magnet's like 10 inches across and like 2 or 3 inches thick. They weigh a lot for a 12. They're absolutely gargantuan. I think this is the same motor they use on the 15s as well. So Bob's your uncle. There's some really wicked subs. Alright, we're down to the wall, the box. So all I gotta do is take all these screws here out, and then this panel will come off. And then I go up inside here and unscrew these screws from that top piece, and it'll come off the box. You'll see how I put it together. Once I do that, then the box, I gotta take a couple brackets loose down here, but I already got the ones in the back. But once I do that and take those bracket loose, the box will come out. But we ain't doing that till tomorrow. I've only got about 45 minutes of daylight left, and I'm tired. The wife's going to start dinner here shortly. I need to rest. That was very tiring, but I got all the heavy stuff done. That was a big pain, and I got all the equipment pulled out except the capacitor, because the box is sitting on it just the tiniest bit. I mean, it's not any weight on it really, but you can't slide it out. It's just barely caught there. When we put it in, I had to put the big log under there and pick up on it so my wife could shove it in there. But yeah, it's all set to be pulled out. As you can see, there ain't nothing holding it back except for just the stuff in the front. So we'll get to work on this part tomorrow. So what I'm debating on is how much to tear out. I know I said I'm going to tear it down to the middle, but just so you know, when I build this first part, this front part, it's going to be about where the end of that black is right there, where the wall is going to be, and then I'll have some wings that come up, and then I'm going to have a couple of layers of wood that go up there, cover up the sunroof. They'll be attached to the top of the enclosure, and they'll just go straight across, be nice and strong. They'll actually block all that off, so I could leave that up there. And the back won't really matter because the box is going to be in there. I really don't have to take any of this stuff out in the back. No matter whether I run 415s or 418s, because I've already got that airspace that box is sitting in, plus the additional volume there, which is about twice. I mean, that's an easy 20 cubic feet or more. Plus, I could go back a little further in the back. I don't have to stop where I did. I stopped this one where I did so that the C-pillar would be positioned where it was. But I could come back further with that box. So I could probably easily get 24, 25 cubic feet without even having to remove anything in here. And that's more than enough for even 418s with ports and all bracing and everything. And then just come off the top of that box up forward. The only downside to that is, because all this will be sealed off, the box, the baffle will be sealed to the front, so nothing behind that baffle is going to matter. What would matter though is what's going on up there. Now I can run that, like I said, I can build the enclosure here and have the plywood attached to the top of the enclosure and carrying over as a full sheet, you know, all the way up to the control panel up there, and just have it stop right before the sun visors, and that will work. That's the only part I'm concerned about. The rest of this is all going to be totally buried, and that's the only part that I'm thinking about. But so you guys ponder on that, and be sure and leave it down in the comments what your thoughts are, because I'm going to be thinking about it tonight. This video is going up today, and tonight I'm going to be pondering it, and whatever we decide tonight's what I'm going to end up doing tomorrow. So it'll be the decision's going to be made tonight. Either way, I'm going to run plywood up there. One way I could leave the headliner underneath it between it and the roof, and one way I can remove it and put the and glue it straight to the roof. But if I don't, if I leave the headliner, I'm not sure how I'm going to attach it. I may be able to just go through the headliner into something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably screwed on that. I'm probably going to have to pull this headliner. That's probably a thing that's just going to happen. It's just going to have to happen, you know. So if anybody's watching out there that wants to have their subwoofers in this build coming up, put their stuff on display, leave comments or go down to my email, shoot me an email. I still haven't decided on what I'm running in here yet. I'm looking at some different stuff. You know, come at me with a deal, something I can afford. I'm trying to be on a budget. I need to be able to handle at least 1200 watts RMS. I prefer 2000 watts RMS. I'm wanting to run 415s or 418s. I would rather run 418s. So if anybody out there is looking to put your stuff in someone's build, put it on YouTube, this is the time to do it. Just let me know in the comments. Over the next couple months, I'm going to be putting all that together, and the build's going to start coming together over the winter and in the early spring. So I'll be featuring your stuff in a lot of videos. Just a heads up.